I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that question, Sophie. I really don't know. I mean, I know the leadership of the ANC. I'm talking about the National Executive Committee, are very mindful of the fact that two facts. One of them, that in terms of the internal researches done by themselves, by the ANC itself, those researches communicate a message about some of the negative feelings of the population towards some of the things that the ANC is doing. So I think it's very sensitive to the fact that there's a particular attitude that the voters have towards the ANC, so that as they campaign, they're aware of that. Plus this other reality, was that since 2009, those elections, all elections since then, the numbers of people voting for the ANC have been declining up to 2021, local government elections. I'm saying that leadership is aware of that. So the challenge therefore to respond to the population in a manner that's convincing to the population. I think the leadership is very, very much aware of this.
Are you going to campaign?
So I'm a member of the ANC, as a member of the ANC, of course, as part of the obligation on members of the ANC, we have to make our own contribution to engage the population.
The MK, the new party, your former deputy, now campaigning for MK, but he's still a member of the ANC.
Yes, I mean, I think that's not an honest position. You cannot say I'm a member of the ANC, but I'm going to campaign against the ANC. You can't. That's not an honest position. He is campaigning against the ANC. So he has defined himself. I think what the leadership of the ANC said earlier, that he has defined himself out of the ANC, that is correct. I think that's a position that he's taken practically. He says that Jacob Zuma has defined himself out of the ANC, and so he's not the ANC anymore.
Have you spoken to him as your former fellow comrade, your former deputy, both in the ANC and in the country, to get a sense of why he took this decision?
No, I haven't spoken to him, neither has he spoken to me, but I would have thought that the decent thing for an ANC person would have been to say, if levels of disaffection with the ANC are so much that I'm going to rebel, that he would have had the courtesy to say to me, look, this is my position. But he didn't. So, but I'm saying, as I say, but I think practically he has defined himself out of the ANC.
Let's talk about the opposition, the DA. They wrote a letter to the Secretary of State of the United States of America asking the US to monitor elections in South Africa. They did the same with a number of countries in Europe. What's your view about that letter?
People get invited to countries and organizations, get invited to monitor elections, to observe elections, not by political parties. It doesn't happen anyway. The last elections that I think I observed were in Nigeria, and many people were there from the United States, from Europe, from everywhere. They were all invited via the electoral process. None of the political parties invited those people. In this case, I think the DA is making a statement about itself, that it doesn't trust our own people, it doesn't trust our own capacity to handle our own elections. And it doesn't trust all of these other people who will come and are invited. The people they trust is effectively the white world. That's a statement about the DA itself. I mean, honestly, our electoral commission here has handled elections since 1994, and there's no major complaint that's been made, and they've been observed all the time. All of this, the EU will be here, and everybody will be here. But they go out of the way to say, no, the white world must come and make sure that it's a statement about the DA itself, and I think it's a bad statement.
The coalition governments are quite challenging. There are polls that are suggesting that after elections, we are going to have a coalition government in some provinces. Some are even predicting that at national level. What's your view? You have led the government, you've led a governing party. There was a time where you were not in government in KZN, in the Western Cape. Later, you were able to make inroads in those provinces. What's your view?
I think the main issue, Sophie, is not so much for what kind of governments will be formed after the elections. Really, the critical point is the kind of the political establishment in South Africa, all of these various parties and so on. Together, what we want to make of South Africa, whoever is governing. I said the country is faced with too many challenges. The economy is very depressed, levels of unemployment growing, levels of poverty growing, all of the negative social things that happen. What do these South African representatives, which all of them say we represent the people of South Africa, what kind of South Africa do they want? I think that is a question that we need to pose to all of the political parties. Whoever emerges as the winner or loser or whatever, whoever becomes the government, whether they're a coalition or one party, whatever, there has to be, whoever is the government, they've got to address certain things about the future of the country so that we take the country one step forward. I think that's the main challenge. Not so much whether there will be coalition government, but what will South Africa look like a year after the elections? And I think the political parties, whether they form coalitions or whatever, need to be committed to a particular perspective and implement that perspective.
Let's turn to international issues as we are about to wrap up. Senegal, you spoke about you engaging President Macky Sall when everybody was scared that Senegal is descending into chaos. Can you take us through your discussions and the issue of the opposition leader who was in jail?
Well, some people in the opposition in Senegal came to see me. They raised this issue that they gave me an account of what was happening last year in Senegal. And I did say to them, in which case, it's nice, I will engage President Macky Sall because really I'm very, very keen that Senegal must sustain its democratic credentials. Very, very important, for not only for Senegal, for the continent. And so I therefore wrote a long letter to President Sall making that argument in the expectation that once he's read the letter, then he would want to talk to me. And I was ready to do that. So as I was saying that the ambassador helped, Senegalese ambassador in Pretoria, because I communicated through her, and indeed communicated with President Macky Sall. Happily, he did not even have to wait to talk to me. He then acted in the correct way that he has acted in terms of releasing all of these people, including this very popular person, Ousmane Sonko, released him from jail, pardoned whatever the offenses are, which entitled him to be eligible. And so he's running. Unfortunately for him, he's only had 2 weeks to participate between being released from jail and the elections taking place. But at least it's out there so that as I was saying to President Macky Sall, really we need to allow these Senegalese people to decide who should become their president, and not have people who can't contest because they are in jail for political reasons. And I'm really very, very proud of him, President Macky Sall, the way he has acted to make sure that indeed Senegal will reaffirm its standing as one of the guarantors of democracy on the continent.
The other issue, you are going to Rwanda for the 30th commemoration of the genocide.
Sure, certainly yes, I'll go there. There is an invitation from President Kagame, and I've been attending those commemorations because I think that major tragedy, the genocide in Rwanda in 1994, I think it's a big important lesson to all of us as Africans. I think it's always very important to have a look at that again, to say it must never happen again, and address all of the conditions in all our countries. This thing about unity in diversity. How do we manage this diversity so that it doesn't end up in a situation where people kill one another?
The last question, Haiti. I know that you are very close to former President Aristide. The situation in Haiti, have you spoken to him recently? Are you following the developments in Haiti? And what happened?
No, I haven't. I haven't spoken to President Aristide recently, but maybe I will have to do that. But indeed, you are right. I mean, what one is observing from afar is a big tragedy. With the story about the capital city, Port-au-Prince, being overrun by these criminal gangs and so on. And one of the things that when we worked with President Aristide before he left Haiti, was the critical importance of a political organization like it was like the ANC here. It was Famille Lavalas, a very, very important political organization there, to which President Aristide belonged. You know, one of the biggest townships or areas in Port-au-Prince is Cité Soleil, Sun City. It was the Famille Lavalas, that place, Cité Soleil, was very rife with these gangsters. But in that same Cité Soleil, the party, Famille Lavalas, was very strong. So it was able to deal with what here at one point, during the UDF days, were called Komtsotsis. You remember the UDF structures here were able to deal with the Komtsotsis. Famille Lavalas was able to deal with the Komtsotsis in Port-au-Prince, in Cité Soleil. But it's clear that in the course of time, that political formation, which was very important, in a sense has receded. I don't know, somewhere. But you need to revive the political structures like that. Otherwise, I think you won't get stability unless you have the strong political parties like Famille Lavalas was, genuinely representing the masses of the people.